I would like to call this meeting to order. It's 6:34. Thank you everyone for coming. We actually have a whole lot on our agenda, and with everyone's permission, after we get through just a couple things, I'd like to push first camp stuff up because there are folks here who would really like to go home. And so we have policy to review. Right now, I believe the VSBA Code of Ethics is being passed around, which we discussed before, but didn't have it here for a signature. So if everybody could sign that. And we're going to read some things and update some things and discuss things. Okay, we will start with the clerk's report, the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes from the, May 9th meeting. Second.
Any discussion? Changes, modifications? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. And opposed or abstentions? Okay, moving right along. Does anyone have any communications that they'd like to share with us?
Maybe just the fact that a budget narrative is being created, and David Schultz shared it with me, and I don't have copies of it, so if folks are interested in seeing it, I can send it to them.
Okay.
And so I got some feedback from folks who wanted to make sure it's going to be sent to the press, and it's going to be about essentially a paragraph, one paragraph out of a couple, one for each district, that is a narrative about high-level points about their budget that will be given to voters before the June 25th vote.
And the budget will be going to the printer. That's very, very soon. We met today about it. Okay, recognition of visitors and guests. Hi, folks.
Hi.
Welcome. Would you like to tell me who you are and why you're here? Steve, you're on.
I'm Steve. Steve Hedman, Putney. I'm just here as a community member.
Ruby Matthew, I'm on the camp committee, and that's the primary reason I'm here, but I'm totally interested in all the other stuff too.
I'm Marissa Lazarus, I'm the counselor here. I'm here primarily for camp. Tara Castine, I'm here for everything that you guys have on the docket today to discuss.
Hi, Ivy.
I'm Ines McGillian, and I'm here to talk to you about what we spoke about at one of your prior meetings, the Putney School Board possibly filing something in support of the plaintiff appellants in the Athens lawsuit. And so I have a proposed declaration that you could consider.
Great.
I'm Robert Brooks. I'm here for camp. I'm the camp director, and I'm very excited.
Okay, and that's everybody. And Herb, would you like to just
Sure,
put
I
the
can
camp stuff
kick it off, yes. This year, for the first time, Robert and I were very grateful to accept the offer of putting together a summer camp committee, instead of just the two of us trying to make everything happen as we've done over the past 5 years? Is this year 6? This is year 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is year 6 for the summer camp program. So that's been terrific. Ruby's been there, Marissa's been there, Kathy Bartlett. Adrian, our IT person, has been instrumental in helping us get enrollment up and running online for the first time, so enrollment and payment can happen right from the comfort of your laptop or your desktop computer, not so much your phone. So what we've done, we started out 4 weeks the first year, and we've evolved in a very comprehensive fashion into a 7-week program. And each of those 7 weeks we've tried to offer something for each of the age brackets. So from the youngest kids to the oldest kids. We know from our history that middle school kids, particularly 8th graders once they graduate, or incoming 8th graders, tend to be busier out there, out and about in the community than other kids, so their enrollment's a little bit traditionally, at least, it's been a little bit lower than some of the younger grades. You know, not unexpected, right? But we have a full complement of offerings that are rapidly filling up. And we are pretty excited about the offerings. I have, I've leveraged some friends at the Putney School to loan us a busette for the summer. We were going to rent 2 vans. Now we'll probably rent 1, I think, yeah. We're gonna figure that out, but that'll be nice. We need to hire a driver, because that's a CDL required vehicle. And we're working with some of our regular contacts at Cosmecus, not the bus company itself, but through our drivers, they know people who, you know, might be interested in helping us out. So it's that's the overview. We have, for people who weren't on the board last year, the board decided that the kids who were direct cert kids would be able to attend camp free of charge. And direct cert, once again, for those aren't familiar with the term, has to do with those families that for primarily for income reasons, but it could be other things, disability, etc., are on some sort of assistance program. Could be WIC, could be any number of different things. So rather than close the door on those kids for lack of resources, the board agreed last year that it would make good sense to have them be able to participate for free. I'm happy to support that. I just mention it because obviously nothing in life is free. And the money to support the staffing for the program on the whole has to come from somewhere. So we do have some funds set aside in our annual school budget. I went over some of these things with Frank today. I think we're in pretty good shape if we combine the money that's already there as of July 1, combined with the folks who have paid, and that's a broader conversation about some people signing up and not paying, but it's nothing to worry about right now. I think we're going to be okay. And so what I asked these folks to do was just to come and contribute a little bit of their perspective on the program, just briefly. And Robert has provided us with a report, basically, that's a readout of similar to what I gave you the other day, and of the actual classes that we're offering. So the way it works is kids who need a ride, there's usually a handful of kids, we'll have transportation for them in the morning. They arrive here, we have breakfast, they get into their workshop settings for a couple and a half hours, have lunch, butter up with the sunscreen, and hit the pool down the public pool, and all of that's supervised by adults. Once that's done, they come back up, get themselves together, and anybody who needs a ride home can jump on the bus and get a ride home. Most parents pick up the kids, but that's not everybody. That's the overview, I guess. I mean, I probably missed a thing or two, but that's the history of it. So we've expanded. Just a quick recap: from 4 weeks 5 years ago, we're in year 6 now, to 7 weeks. Which pretty much covers a good portion of the summer, so that the kids that, many of whom wouldn't have much to do in the summer, but sort of hang out and do not much. Families, can't afford vacations and so forth. We've got something for them to do. Not only is it fun, but it's an enrichment opportunity for the kids. They're going to learn a new skill. They're going to share in an activity that they might not otherwise be able to. So we're pretty proud of it. And I just want to say I'm really grateful to everybody on the committee, Robert in particular, who's, as the director, has been hanging in there with me in this crazy idea for 5 years now, and 5 years plus, and it's all sort of gelling this year, I think, in a very, very positive way. So that's my speech yet. Any questions for me before I turn it over to Robert and the rest of the crew?
Thank you. It's an excellent program. Really thrilled to have it. Thrilled to have kids in the building in the summer. I think it's a wonderful thing.
It's good.
Thank you, Herb.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
Can I approach this so I can hand you guys what our itinerary looks like? I mean,
Approach the bench.
yeah, approach the bench, yeah.
I think we should call Warrants.
There you go. If you wanna pass it up. That just gives you an idea of what we offer during the summer. This year, just a tiny history piece. When I took over 5+ years ago, I don't want to say 6 because it sounds long, but 5 years ago, it was 2 weeks serving about 10 kids. This year, we are not completely all set up. People are still registering. We are serving 106 families in Putney alone, which represents 128 kids. We average a little over 55 kids a week in camp. And during that time, they learn everything from aquatic studies with our middle school science teacher to leather works, to you name it. We have more offerings this year than you could possibly imagine. And as I was running the numbers tonight, what I really appreciate is that, you know, through the generosity of the board, we have 32 kids coming to camp this summer that represent our direct cert list or our free and reduced list. Quick math tells you 30% of, you know, the total schools going to camp thanks to you guys, which is fantastic. You know, many of these kids are averaging, our direct cert kids are averaging about 6 weeks of summer camp each. So it's not like they're just coming for 1 week. They're coming for most of the summer. And it really shows over the years about the kids who come spend camp with us, who build relationships. I joke with the kids, Herb's heard me say this, summer is my banking season for these kids. During the school year, I'm in charge of making sure everybody, you know, follows the norms. During the summer, I get to play with the kids, have fun with the kids. And during the school year, I kind of bank on that. I build relationships. These kids build skills. They build relationship skills. They get out and about. They're learning science. They're learning nature. We have, like I said, different nature programs, aquatic studies, and it's really important for these kids to be able to keep the contact with their friends. And again, this is something that makes Putney Central extremely unique. There's no other school in the district that even comes close to something like this, I don't think, at least for longevity, scope, breadth. You know, and this year I've been able to toss in a few other pieces to the program that are more educational, which are just fantastic. So again, I just want to say thank you for what you guys do for these kids.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Marissa, you go for it. Well, thank you to Ruby, and also Ellen Strong and Kathy Bartlett were a huge part of the process. Just to make sure that all of our kids have access to a summer camp. And I think that we're really on the journey right now to opening those doors so that they have something to do. And they can come here and learn skills and swim and have fun. And I think that's really great. So again, thank you very much.
And the only thing that I would add is that a few years back is when the camps were expanded to include a pre-K option. And so we really are serving the entirety of the kids here, so from pre-K through 8, which is great. And I also think that the camp committees worked really hard on tightening things up, trying to get really clear about our expenses and our income, and also make things, you know, have presentable documents and all the online stuff. And part of that is knowing that we don't know the future. And so we're hoping that we're setting ourselves up for having a really successful program that's an asset and will be considered an asset for the merged board as well, because who knows what's going to happen, but certainly we want to have some way to continue to support our community, our Putney kids, as well as, you know, there are people from outside of the Putney school, Putney Central School, who do attend, but ultimately that's what we're thinking about.
Yeah, I would add to that too. I think that the pieces that have fallen in place this year, thanks to people who are thinking a couple of steps ahead, make me think that what we are sitting on here really is a template, right? That could be replicated either in other schools, or we could become a magnet of sorts for some of the other schools to send, you know, some of their kids here We have offered, the past couple of years, we've offered the opportunity for kids from other schools to participate, but we aren't able to offer transportation to those kids. So if that is something that the district in its new configuration is interested in planning for, it is something that we might, enlarge a little bit, so that's it.
Okay, so how much more you need?
Well, I think we're okay right now,
Okay.
money-wise. I talked to Frank and Ike, he had Ike and a couple of other people scratching their heads and looking at a couple of accounts that were applicable to summer camp. And I just spoke with them this evening at around 5:30, Frank, and I think that we're gonna be okay. But if we're not, I know where to go. I'll talk to you. I think we're gonna be all right. Part of the issue with the budget is that the FY budgets, the line item budgets, of course, end on June 30th, right? Regardless of the configuration of the district. So, and then we actually start camps that last week of June. So there's this sort of straddling thing that has to happen, but it's manageable. They understand what we're trying to do.
And more or less what the merged district will be proposing is the individuals' budgets put together, at least for this year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm not, that thought hadn't even crossed my mind. I'm assuming we're good.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we weren't dipping into any, I mean, if we have to dip into funds, this will be our last chance to do it, so.
Oh, right. I'm not feeling any need to do that right now.
Okay.
No.
Well, good, glad to hear it.
My child is gonna go this year for the first time, and we're looking forward to that. So it's nice that
We're
it's.
looking forward to having it.
Well, my child enjoyed it back when it was new.
That's right. Who's a pioneer?
You did it, okay. Well then, do you have anything else on your administrative report?
I do, yeah. Would you like to
I'd be happy to listen to whatever.
say okay for these folks?
Yeah.
They're looking at me.
That's what I was
like,
gonna
Is it
say.
time to leave?
I was checking, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, camp people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
And we're gonna tuck Inez in after her administrative report so that she can go the heck home too.
Okay.
Go to my office.
So most of the things I have are this sort of congested calendar, end of the year items. So on the 6th, we have the middle school concert at 6, which once again is going to be at Next Stage. There's also a student art show there this year, which is a nice little added feature. Nancy Shepard helped Ellen sort of pull that all together with the folks at Next Stage, so that'll be up at Next Stage for your viewing pleasure for a week, actually, after the concert. So if you can't make it to then, and you have a chance to stop in and take a peek, there's some nice stuff there from the kids. 6/7 is our barbecue. The reason we're having it a little bit early this year had to do with scheduling and our ability to grab the grill from the folks. I think we're still getting Coda's grill. Yeah, so Coda and Coda lend us the grill and so forth, so that's all part of that. So if you're, as a parent, planning to attend, make sure you RSVP so we can get a reasonable...
Too late.
It's too late. Forget it. Never mind. Forget I mentioned it. 6/12, originally we had the field day planned for tomorrow, but the weather was looking iffy, so rather than take a risk, they bumped it up a week to next week on the 12th. And that's a PTO organized and sponsored event, so there'll be a bunch of stuff out there. I saw the kids this morning, it was funny, Matt's got the older kids practicing the sack races already, so there'll be some ringers in there, no doubt. Moving ahead to the 17th, we do a little move-up day for the kids. It's really sort of a pre-K through 4 thing, 5-ish thing, because the 5th grade had their, parents anyway, had their intro to middle school tonight with the team. So for half an hour, 45 minutes, the kids go up to the next grade, they meet the teacher, they know who these people are, but it's awfully nice for them to get together and be in the classroom and have an opportunity to discuss what might be coming up at the end of August. Graduation is the same day, the 17th at 6 o'clock. Weather permitting, it'll be out on the basketball court in front of the mural. Our last day is the 18th, and dismissal is 11:45. We'll have lunch that day, Steve? Yep, so we'll have...
No breakfast.
No breakfast. We don't do breakfast on early dismissal days because of the timing of it. And we'll have lunch, and then the dismissal will be at 11:45. I also just, any questions about any of that stuff? Okay. I also just wanted to give you an update on personnel stuff that's public. As you know, we are looking for a second grade teacher. We've interviewed a few people, had some promising candidates, had a couple of people back to do demo lessons yesterday and today. The committee is going to meet tomorrow and decide on next steps. I think we're in very good shape at the moment with that, but we'll sort of have a conversation about next steps. Lauren is leaving us, our librarian. She's been a point 8 person here for a number of years, and prior to that she was a preschool assistant teacher here. She's taking a full-time job in Springfield at the Elm Hill School, which is a K-2 school with about 320 kids, I think, 5 of each grade. So she's going to be one of several kindergarten teachers up there. So we wish her the best. And so we'll be posting that job soon too, in the next couple of days. So those are the big items. Lots of stuff.
I was speaking to someone today who was really feeling very sad about Lauren's departure and just spoke amazingly of the work that she's done here, particularly recently, and just the presence that she has in the library. And so I'll make sure to connect with her and thank her.
Yeah, she's been terrific.
Okay. Paul, did you bring us anything?
Nope, I got nothing.
All right. Okay, then if we're going to continue rearranging our schedule, we can move to the Act 46 legal update, and Ines can.
Well, so just to circle back, the last time I was here, I think we spoke about what the Putney School Board could potentially do to support the plaintiff appellants in their suit. And just to update you, right now, some of our claims were dismissed as a matter of law, following the state's motion to dismiss. And that portion of the case has been appealed to the Vermont Supreme Court, and it's been docketed, and we have a briefing schedule. The remainder of the case was just argued last week in front of Judge Mello, and we expect a decision any day, or soon, we hope. And it's very likely that that portion of the case, assuming that we lose in front of Judge Mello, which he's indicated he believed we would, that portion of the case will also be appealed to the Vermont Supreme Court. So our next step now is to try to get a stay pending appeal. And that's under Vermont Rule of Appellate Procedure 8. And we have to first file it with Judge Mello, which we're going to do this week. And then we file it with the Vermont Supreme Court. And the filing in front of Judge Mello is going to be limited because we've already papered that document and we've already had a motion before him before. And so what I propose the school board do is perhaps submit a declaration that would be an attachment to our motion to the Supreme Court. And it would, in a sense, help to show the Supreme Court that towns that were not able to join the lawsuit before are now supporting it. And I've drafted something that, of course, you can change, but I've drafted what I thought would be helpful, and I can give you all copies. This is just a draft. And we can go over it together. sort of modeled on what, and I apologize, I only have 5, but I can give you my copy
Yeah,
before I
that's
leave.
fine.
Yes, here.
Oh, sure, thanks.
So you can share as well. And it's essentially just an expression of support. I would assume that the chair could sign it. You could designate anyone to sign it as designee of the board. And it would basically say, you know, that paragraph 3 describes what the board's decision did on November 30th. Paragraph 4 is something that was also in Christina Naylor's declaration, but I thought it'd be helpful to have here. Again, just the votes that took place in Dummerston, Brattleboro, Putney, and Guilford. And then paragraph 5 is basically a description of whatever the board would resolve to do. You know, just a statement that it concludes that it wants to support the motion for a stay, because if you believe that the town of Putney or the students or the residents of Putney will be harmed by a merger that will be difficult to undo, this would be a useful statement to have in front of the Vermont Supreme Court. And paragraph 6, we can, you know, we can make any changes that you'd like to that paragraph. I mean, just sitting here today, one of the things that popped into my head was, you know, is the merged board going to be able to do as good of a job with your camp here at school as these volunteers are doing now, and as you are doing now? You know, with a smaller merged board, how much attention is the merged board going to be able to pay to, you know, the specific operations, the specific initiatives that the Putney School District is undertaking now? So that's something we could add in there. Because this isn't a finalized document, what I propose is that you could vote as a general matter to approve something like this, or approve your board chair to sign something like this, and I could work with your board chair to finalize it over the course of the next 7 days. You know, with the specifics to be determined later. And you could discuss tonight specifically what you might want to put into this document in addition to what I propose here, because this is really your declaration. This is just a beginning draft. Now, in terms of timing, you know, you could vote tonight to adopt this resolution, or you could call a special meeting sometime in the next 7 days. I'll leave that up to you all. But I would like to have a signature on something by the 14th, because I anticipate we're trying to file something with the Vermont Supreme Court well in advance of July 1st. So that's 3 weeks away.
Okay, folks. So what do you think?
Sorry, 1 second.
It's okay, I understand you are typing your brains out.
So the only addition, what did you want to say?
No, I'm sure you have something to say, is what I was
I
going to
was
say.
trying to wait.
Jamie, you had
I tried
asked me
to count to
describe
10
the suit
before
to
I opened my mouth.
you wanted me to describe the suit to the board again?
Sure, but one thing I was hoping for is the ability to also add my name to it. So however, how many, I don't know what format you have to do.
Anyone can
I'm
sign.
happy for it to be in our chair's
Yeah.
name, but I would also love to be marked in history as somebody who was like,
Sure. Or the board could even designate you as the person who signs.
I'm fine to do that, but I don't want to dishonor the key role our
Okay,
chair
sure.
has. And so
You
as
could-
much as we could include
file-
others.
You can file a joint declaration.
Regardless of anything else that's true, I know why the people of Putney sent me here.
You.
Yes.
Whether I would agree or not, I know why they sent me here.
Yes.
So,
Well, I'll leave that up to you, however many signatories you want to this document. It could then be, I could craft it sort of as a declaration of all members of the Putney School Board, and whoever wants to can sign it. Sure. Yeah.
okay.
Usually I've only seen declarations, one declaration per person, but I don't want to overpaper the court. So we could do one document on behalf of the board, and anyone who wishes to sign can sign, and I'm comfortable with that.
Is it more powerful if just about everybody or everybody on the board?
Sure, yeah, it's more powerful if the declaration reflects that it was a unanimous board, and if everyone signs, or it could just say the majority of the board. It depends on what you resolve here tonight.
I suggest we want to talk about an executive session later.
I suggest that might be the case. Can we give you a buzz, Inez, or drop you an email?
Sure, what is your second session?
Executive session.
Oh,
Executive
executive session,
session.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Talk about it in executive session. And then, do you need a recap of the suit again, or?
I'm fine, I didn't know if others needed it to decide whether or not they wanted to sign on.
Yeah, I mean, at
I had
this
asked
point, you're not
Inez
signing
in
on
the
to the
grocery
suit.
store for
Yeah.
a reminder of all the components of the case.
Yes, which I have in my tiny head. But at this point, just to be clear, you're not joining the suit. You'd just be filing a document supporting it that would let the court know that other towns in this SU are, you know.
The only other thing that struck me that was missing, and I don't know, I think it's much more compelling, number 4, to have the vote totals on where people are at. And maybe I'm just not a fast reader, but just also to say that one of the issues that came up through the vote at town meeting was that I ran on my concerns around this process and was voted onto the board. And so I don't know if there's a way to talk about, that in this letter. Just showing that it demonstrated that the change in the board structure represented concerns around the board not representing the vote of the people in the town of Putney. So I know that seems like a compelling and important point to make, and I leave it to my colleagues to determine if that's an important point or not.
Sure. So just to be clear now, how many newly elected members of the board do we have? Almost all of you except for Anne, correct? Or was somebody here before?
I was here before.
Oh, you were here before,
I was here.
okay.
He was here for a year, but that's how he wound up on the board as well. That's why
I
he
did not
ran in the
oppose,
first
so-
place.
Okay. I mean, if you decide later that that's how you want to do it, I would propose including a paragraph that just says, 2 recently elected members of the board, I guess, had openly stated their opposition to the merger and were elected to the board by the town of Putney.
Okay.
And if you want to show how that has shifted, I mean, I would be careful about.
Yeah, I mean, that's the piece that I don't want to, so I just want to be thoughtful in how it's stated. I think it's important that I think it is important, so however that.
Yeah, I mean, without casting aside all the work that other board members have done, with also the best interests of kids in mind, but just with a different idea of how that can be achieved.
Right. I don't want it in any way to be disrespectful. I just wanted to name that it's a concern that was elevated.
Sure.
Okay, well, I agree with Tim. We should probably do this in executive session.
Sure.
Just a question. What would be the rationale for executive session?
I'll bring it up.
I know that there's the section that talks about contemplating legal action. I don't know whether this would really qualify per se, given that, we'd be signing a letter of support, not joining a lawsuit exactly. But I think it actually says that you can actually discuss in an executive session anything pertaining to a lawsuit that, do you remember is it 13?
Right, it's about what would premature disclosure of the information, who would it discommode, right?
I see your point.
Yeah.
It's just a question.
Always ask good questions like that, please.
Discommode.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard discommode.
And we can discuss it in open session if we want to. I see your point. We're not harming anyone by doing it.
Unless you're disparaging me.
That's what it says, you
I
know.
hope you do. It's up to you.
That's true.
But, I mean, Paul may have a point, but it might be a fine line if it involves a role in litigation. I don't know if it's really very strict.
Yeah, more of my question was, when you go into, my understanding is when you go into an executive session, you gotta say why.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
if it's litigation, cool.
I've got 313 bookmarked.
Cool.
Doesn't say.
Yeah. Although if somebody's going to protest and make a fuss, then maybe you are better off just doing it in open session. I mean, I think Paul might have a point, unless you can come up with a very good reason for going into executive session.
Sorry,
I will say everything I have to say quite publicly. And intentionally I'll say thoughtfully. Whether or not it comes out that way.
Okay, we can do it without executive session. This is fine by me. Do one. You ready to start typing?
Yeah, hold on a second. I just wanted to get in. Paul pointed out that we couldn't do an executive session.
Oh, do you want to see the statute? Because I got it.
Oh, no, I have it here.
Okay.
On my phone, anyway.
I thought we did. Maybe they sent us 2 copies. I thought we had done that already.
I have no idea.
Okay, we already did it.
All right.
I was very excited to do it last time.
Done is done.
With the new
Yeah.
members.
Yeah, we waited till after this.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I was so excited, I was like, don't necessarily need to do it twice.
Okay,
Okay. So,
we'll start. I'm happy to sign it as is, I think. Or I would sign off on the board, like make a motion to approve you signing it as is.
okay.
I can do that if you like.
Well, if we make a motion and we have a second, then we can actually have a discussion.
Sure.
So, we'll take that as a motion. Do I have a second?
I move that we, oh yeah,
Okay, go
sorry, go ahead, I've already moved it.
So,
I'll second it.
okay, yeah, we can talk about it. I like that comfortable meeting. So Tim supports it, obviously Jamie supports it. I mean, this doesn't seem unreasonable, but
But what would be helpful is if you had anything to add to paragraph 6, like you might be in a better position than I am to come up with the things that Putney would be losing in a merged situation that you couldn't get back. If the merger were to be undone somehow. Because the point of this filing is to tell the court, things that a merged board is going to decide they're going to be difficult to undo. And usually it's the monetary harm that courts pay the most attention to. So,
Well, I would imagine staffing, that the merged board would, down the road, be cutting
nobody's
staffing.
talking about cutting
That-
staffing levels at
not
all
this-
at this point.
Right.
I just don't want to scare people. I mean, I understand the importance of what we're doing here, but I don't want to scare anybody unnecessarily at this point with what
Right.
we're publicly commenting.
Right, what the current, what this board is elected.
That would seem to be,
Kind
yeah.
of standoffish on doing things. It's just that down the road, we could find ourselves in quite a dilemma.
We could. We're actually at the highest staffing level except for BUHS.
Right, but I'm thinking about when they start thinking about equity and we've got full-time art, this, and they don't, and, except for.
Perhaps we'd like to add something about valued programs and personnel. Those would be among the things that would be lost.
Including your. I feel like
Including your summer program.
We don't want to bury the court in too many specifics, do we?
Well, specifics help, because it's hard for these judges looking at a cold record and pieces of paper to understand the human impact that this merger is going to have. So details do help.
So you're thinking our farm to school program,
Yeah.
our school forest program, our summer programming, our mountain biking club.
Yeah.
if we could just essentially take the statement that we made around our values and things that we really value and things that we want to elevate as a part of that. Because we've already come together and created a document like that, and it could be, and it highlighted things that I think people both value but also felt were vulnerable in this process. I feel like this is a hard question because you don't want to scare people, but at the same time, you can see patterns of human behavior statewide and the challenge at hand, and you could imagine. So I think it's a difficult place, and I don't understand a document like this. If you say, based on what we're seeing in these examples statewide, we can imagine that there are some places that we put a great amount of value on that could be vulnerable in this process.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't reproduce the whole document into this declaration, but just highlighting the key features from it, like already just the things that you've mentioned are useful. So.
And we're getting these things. Okay, so, you want to have anything in particular you'd like to say? So the motion is to sign it as it is, and we've come up with. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I had another question. I'm sorry. As part of this merge board and discussion on per student costs to budget, does the budget changes impact Putney residents in a negative manner?
Well, we're the only ones who'll be paying the $1.70 tax rate.
Right. Well, what was our projected one?
2 cents, I thought less. I thought it was
168 or something?
I thought it was 2 cents less.
That's what I did too, but this is how I spent mine in town.
Yeah, right.
So does this merger actually impact Putney residents in a negative manner? That's kind of what I was wondering, if you wanted to put something into that.
That remains to be seen. And, you know, the reason we're the only ones paying $1.70 tax is because it's been a while since our last generalist appraisal. So, yeah, we're not paying taxes at the rate which we should already, apparently. So, what was the last one, 2014, I think? Anybody? Yeah.
I can't remember right, but that sounds right.
Yeah, I think the last one was in 2014, so that means that our CLA is under 100%, which means we're not getting taxed as heavily as we should, because the price of our property is higher than our assessments. Most of the other towns are slightly below, slightly above. They're paying slightly more than they had ought to pay in taxes based on their real estate values. It's a few cents different, like less than 2 most of the way between the towns. Does that help? Because
yeah, I just didn't know.
The school funding formula is, again, this is how I spent my afternoon. Not all of it.
The other impact is as the larger the pool, the more buffered any individual school changes in enrollment, that effect is sort of evened out. So over history, if Putney's way up or way down, that has a strong impact on the tax rate. But if the ADM is pooled across the whole of the new district, then those individual school changes kind of get smoothed out.
One of the things that has struck me in this process is the 28 school board members and the 5 districts, 9 schools, going down to 8 folks and just the workload. So I don't know how you quantify that, But it's the concern that people across all 4 towns have expressed, that it's a very large amount of work for very few people.
So one way I could draft that is to say the Putney Town School Board is concerned that a smaller 8-member board in charge of a $50 million budget and X number of school buildings won't be able to devote the same resources to maintaining, and then list all your programs, the Putney's special programs, with the same attention that our school board composed of volunteers has been able to over the past many years.
An example I've heard of that is that the administrative reports that we love to get from our administration, having that at a school board meeting with 9 schools it's gonna, everything will have to change in how those kinds of things happen. And knowing the schools will be lost in that shuffle.
Out of curiosity, is there a new, has the structure for this board changed? Meaning, are they going to meet weekly for 4 hours, or or is it? Because it seems, I mean, if you just look at sheer numbers, as you're saying, the workload of that board is going to be immense. So that means, I would hope these people are being salaried. I mean, how else would you do it?
I think it went from what is our compensation annually, $1,500? $1,200. So I think we did a whopping $4,000 for the members and $6,000 for the chair or something at the meeting, the organizational meeting, I think. So when you say compensated, I imagine you've got 2 meetings a month plus committee meetings, so you're probably talking 1 to 2 meetings a week for quite a while to catch up.
Yay.
Not to be speaking about this in front of Ann and Tim.
I thought the vision was that some of that work would fall to the leadership councils, meeting with the principal on a regular basis.
However, the board members will, on a rotating basis, be part of the leadership council.
Right.
So
Right.
that's just
Maybe-
another meeting, actually.
Right.
Buildings and grounds, finance, policy and planning.
For 9 buildings.
For 9 buildings. I only have 4 at the moment.
I have a concern about the articles of agreement and the one protecting the middle school here. That can be changed.
I could add that in, yeah.
Because they're and may well be, not this year, but coming up. Because BAMS has a lot of excess capacity and can easily swallow our 7th and 8th and Dummerston 7th and 8th. And as pressure comes down from the top to reduce spending, those are easy targets to pick off. Go to amend the articles, and we have a lot less votes in Brattleboro, although we have a better voter turnout, but, and we have protections for 5 years, but.
I know we have a lot of things to worry about, but the middle school is definitely something to enumerate in that. We have thousands of concerns,
Right.
School choice to populating a school, or school choice without transportation is no school choice.
Yeah.
Trading one kind of inequity for another.
Exactly.
I understand Brattleboro has great needs, but we hover between 40 and 50%. We're not without our own needs.
Oh, for free and reduced,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have incidents and issues, and putting our kid, it took Spencer 45 minutes on the bus to get here. I think I'm one of the farther flown people.
Oh, from Brattleboro?
No, here.
Oh, within town?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
so the bus system really wouldn't be adequate to serve a number of these things. There are a lot of concerns, but I don't think we need to spend 10 pages. I have pages and pages and pages of things.
But that's one that really just, it popped into my head because that article can be changed at any time. It says it's good for 5 years, but when I asked if, what articles could not be changed, that wasn't one of them.
No.
So, and there is going to be pressure coming down from the top. Spend less, spend less, spend less.
So where are we with this? Do you have enough, do you think, to make a new document? So, Tim, your motion was to sign it as it was. Perhaps you can amend your own motion to include changes that will be made. And the question is, does everybody want to sign it? Because if everybody does not want to sign it, I don't think that we need to put pressure on the person or persons who don't want to. So my signature by majority would be sufficient, but if say Sergio does not wish to sign it, sorry to pick on you, Sergio, I don't think we need to point that out to anyone who reads it. He deserves to, go home at night and not have people annoy him. Well, yeah, I mean, this is a very emotional issue for a lot of people, even for a lot of people who don't understand the practical issues that are involved. And I know that a lot of people took a lot of grief over this before it went through, and I don't think any of us want to go back there again.
No.
I think we are all doing what we think is right. So,
Could I offer, and I don't know if this is possible, but because I haven't heard from Sergio and I haven't heard from Liz yet about wanting to sign on to this, but if a number of us wanted to sign on it, it doesn't in any way pressure anybody to, anybody doesn't have, it doesn't lessen the document or the impact of the document to not have all board members on the document, correct?
There's certainly a solution for every problem, and so you could have the document say the majority of the board resolves in paragraph 5, and then I could say, the following signatories wish to put their name to this declaration, and then.
So I just wondered, because I just wanted to reiterate in discussion that I would love to have my name in this document.
I'm just processing the
Yeah.
very long history
Yeah.
that this has.
Yeah.
And I think at this point it really does come down to, do you want to sign it or not, Sergio?
Sure. I would say that I respectfully, I will abstain. I respect the board's decision to move forward as they wish. I respect the voters' decision to move forward as they wish. I will respectfully abstain.
Okay, and how do you feel about the other members of the board signing it without your signature?
That's totally up to them.
Okay.
I'm good either way.
Okay. That was
Thank you for asking.
important. That was important to me.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay. So it would appear that we have a motion and a second, and we've made up our minds.
I'll amend my motion to
to
allow the changes.
Okay, super. So all in favor?
I have a question. If I say aye, does that mean it's just Anne?
No, it doesn't. Sergio has agreed that he
Oh.
would rather not sign it, but he doesn't mind leaving
Okay.
his signature off of it.
Okay, so meaning that,
Okay,
Got it.
so now did you say aye?
aye.
Opposed or abstentions?
One abstention.
Okay. Are you gonna write that up for us?
And I will, I assume that by your motion, you've authorized the board to meet up with me.
To drop by your
Tomorrow,
office
drop by my
whenever
office
you
and I'll
got
see-
it? Yeah,
yes.
just drop us an email
Sure.
and.
And I would drive it to you, Anne, I wouldn't make you
That's
trek it to town.
okay, eventually I'll get.
Sure.
I had another question, I'm sorry. If community members wanted to show support of the court things that are happening, how would they do that?
To think about it.
Okay.
time machine.
I could always, I'll talk to David Kelly about it and
Okay.
find out.
Yeah, maybe a petition might.
Maybe
interest the
petition,
judge.
yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean, petition signed by thousands of people is always impressive, but is it going to really further the legal arguments? I don't know. So,
But talk to David and
yeah.
we'll let
Just
you
as
know.
a supporting factor for what the litigation is and what's going on, and the fact that the Putney people have said that they didn't want to merge and it would give us a voice in that process would be nice.
Okay. So we are all set with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll be in touch, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Inez.
Thank you.
Can I just ask Inez a quick question?
You can always ask a quick question.
Inez,
Yes,
do you read the Google website?
I stopped reading it.
I
It's
bet you
just
did.
too much information.
Because of people who were in the courtroom
Mhm,
this last time.
mhm.
Seemed like the state didn't have some very good answers for questions.
Yes, I thought so all along, but the trick is convincing the judge.
Right.
So, I mean, every argument I felt that the state didn't have very good answers to a good number of questions, but
But there were certain ones that he went after the state on,
Yeah.
more so than others,
yes,
and those were pretty crucial
yes,
for our case.
I agree, I
Okay.
agree.
I thought it was really telling that recently when we had our vote on the board members and we reached out to the town clerks, and the town clerks had been informed by the Secretary of Education to not release the voting records. And that I've done election work for years, and I thought, geez, that doesn't seem to go at all with law around elections. And so I contacted the Secretary of State, and they clarified with the Secretary of Education and the town clerks that it was public record. And then they started to look at a process by which that would, that they could make sure that those wouldn't be public record anymore by transporting the votes to a central location, mixing them together, and then voting, and then counting them all in a central location. So I feel like this is a really interesting, it's very strange to me to watch the state of Vermont, which to me has always been the gold standard for democracy in many ways, behave in a way that really runs up against democratic process. It's very strange to be on a front row seat to that.
And frankly, that's in of itself potentially a harm that, you know, Putney voters won't know how their town voted on certain issues. So
Yeah.
He's just making stuff up as he goes.
this is what you've caught on to one of my legal arguments, Liz. It's getting made up as we go along.
No, Jan French.
All right, well, I will be in touch with Anne, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Sure, you're
I
welcome.
know I was scared.
Okay, moving on to committee reports. Diversity has not met. So here's
Yeah,
finance.
SU Finance met on the 23rd. It was a pretty brief meeting, mostly payroll and warrants. We did have a brief executive session in which there was no action taken. I don't know if I can share what that was. I'd have to ask Lyle.
It wasn't shared with the high school board, so I don't guess it's to be shared.
Okay. And there was a brief discussion again about what the finance committee structure will look like, but that's now to you all in terms of going forward on the SD board, so TBD.
Yeah, at the moment, it
It was
looks
a very
like
brief meeting.
one person from each town, just so you know. That's what it looks like right now. But we may change that. Forrest.
I don't have anything. I haven't talked to Lionel in a little bit, but I need to get back in touch.
Okay.
They did meet last night
Oh,
for an initial meeting.
oh, great.
And Lynn, Josh, Lionel, and I think that was it for the initial one.
Did you all those?
It's gonna be a regular thing.
Good.
Yeah.
Did they do all the business before the town they needed to in terms of Accounts.
Oh, Emily's on it too. Emily is on it.
Oh,
Great.
Warrants.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
Yeah, I
Liz was
like-
at that meeting,
I went with Lionel to the select board.
and
We're all good, right?
I'm sorry?
The select board meeting that I went to with Lionel about the account set up at the town.
A while back,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're all good on that, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was able to attend part of that too and watch them setting up the accounts and stuff and ask a couple of questions, which was nice.
great. I'm glad it is moving forward. We started thinking about that so many years ago.
Yeah.
Putney Food Project, has anybody interfaced with?
So I spoke to Herb about it, and Herb said to reach out to Steve. Steve and I sat down and chatted a little bit, and Steve's reaching out to Jen. Am I getting it right?
Yeah, now that Jen's back, a big part of, we lost a lot of the people that were on the initial group. And I've been pretty busy myself, so things have just kind of petered along for a while. But we're hoping to kind of regroup. There's a lot of younger parents that are interested in getting involved. The times that we had planned to do something, it rained on weekends, and so we're going to try again this weekend just to get some stuff going. We just have to build the committee up again,
Right.
you know, get and spread the workload around. We might end up just doing kind of redoing some stuff down there. Well, we're probably going to till it up and everything, get things going again, but maybe not with a lot of student help this spring, but get a bunch of stuff in so that there's a lot of student help in the fall to harvest and things like that. Jen and I are going to talk and see if we should all
Yeah, so we
see
start,
what
yeah,
we
so we're
can
just,
come up with.
at the moment, we're trying to focus on what Steve just said basically, which is prepping the raised beds. I've got some planks down there that need to be, we're gonna have to refurbish a couple of them that have been, I don't know, maybe 7 years or so of use we've got out of them, so that's good. And we're gonna tune those up and get those ready and do some tilling. The contract for the fridge freezer has been awarded to Dampier. And we haven't got a last minute update from them, but my assumption is that they've ordered the unit and it's on its way in some way, shape or form. And then we'll.
Congratulations.
Yeah, he has ordered it.
He has?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of where we're at. Yeah.
I would just put it out if you guys need support, saying the garden's up. I'm happy to do some outreach to some folks. So let me know if you want hands, and I'd be happy to help, help create a work day or something to move things forward.
Yeah, there's a pretty good crew of people that are really interested in this.
Yeah.
And last fall, we had a nice 2
Good.
days out there
Okay.
with kindergartners through old people.
Good.
It was nice.
Okay.
Do we have any buildings and grounds other than the?
No, only that I've noticed that the roof over the extension to the gym, I guess is the easiest way for you to imagine it. Might need a little TLC. I've got Travis is gonna come down and take a look at it for me. It's on the north side of the building, so it never gets any direct sunlight. So, you got the usual moss thing going on there and so forth. So he's gonna give me some guidance on that, and I'll talk to whomever, whenever. Yeah.
And anything from PHACT?
I know they met a few weeks ago, but I'm not sure I ever saw the minutes from it. I'm not sure what's going on exactly.
Okay, can you hit them up for them and?
Will do.
Excellent, thank you.
Oh, where's this gone?
Yeah, the camp people were like, okay, we did camp, now it's time for dinner.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. So, under unfinished business, we have these policies that Barb sent out quite a while ago, but I'm not sure you're getting emails. Liz, are you getting emails?
Yes.
Okay. Because I knew they had set you up a SU email address, but you didn't know about it, so.
They were sending you in my personal email.
I know there is one because somebody sent something to it that I immediately forwarded to you because I knew, you were like, I don't have an email. Well, you do. You just don't know how to get into it. So everybody's good with the changes in those policies that were on a second reading for? Okay, great. We had a third reading of some of the policies that I sent along as a list that have been adopted. All right, and I think we have looped, no, we have not quite looped back around because we did not do finance. First of all, a bunch of us messed up the signature, like we didn't sign the second time because there's this email stuck between signature pages, so double check yourselves. And Tim, if you wanted to make a motion.
Sometimes it's the third page in, just so you know.
Yeah, I missed the third page ones. I got the second page ones. Or you need to. Can you move those over to you?
I can do it if you like. Okay, I move that we pay the PTSD warrants, one in the amount of $15,037.53 and the other in the amount of $2,795.52, dated 5/22.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Because in theory, we're reviewing these before we get them here so that we're set to go. See?
I wish I could tell who's, I guess that's Tim and Liz. There's a couple of these that go.
Yeah, that's, usually if it's there, it's the second page, but some of them have emails stuck in them this time, so it's the third page for another signature. All right, and Herb has brought me a stack of 1% funds. I'm sure I have them all.
I had a question. I went to the Equity Summit and it was a $50 fee. Is that something as a school board member I can request reimbursement on, or should I pay that out of my own pocket?
I don't know.
Okay, I didn't know if there were, school board members got to get subsidized trainings or not.
Depends on the training. I didn't see anything in the invitation that came out for this saying it would be paid by the SU or by the...
Although actually, oddly enough, I got something that said the SU was paying for me.
For
and
this
I was
one?
like, I thought I was gonna get a bill and I just pay it.
Oh.
Like when I signed up, I figured I'd give them a credit card. But then they were like, oh, we'll send you an invoice. I'm like, that seems weird. And then probably a week before the actual summit, I got something that was like, oh, we'll submit this to your SU. I'm like, huh?
I'm not sure who...
So maybe they'll come back to me.
Do you want me to email
You can always
Barb,
reject it.
or will you email Barb? You want me to
Yeah, no, you
email
can email Barb and she can push it, because it's impossible to get hold of Frank right now for very
Yeah.
good reason.
Barb? Okay, got it. I'll ask Barb.
But maybe Ike or Laura or someone
Okay.
can push it under the correct notes, but Barb will know who to send it to.
Which, by the way, that training was awesome at the Equity Summit at SIT that Michaela, Dottie, Lyle, and I don't remember the woman from Vermont Principals,
Linda Wheatley.
Linda did. And I got to hang at a table with Paul. Anyway, it was a good day.
And
And-
Spencer at the
Oh,
same table.
She called me just to tell me it was awesome, but thank you
he
very much.
did a great job, and I got to have lunch with Tim, who was at a different table. It was great.
That's the stat.
I was on the beach.
I believe I was breaking my butt. Okay, there's those, and I have applications for 1% funds. Do you want to explain them, Herb, or would you rather?
Well, if you don't mind, I'll just take a peek at them. I don't have-
Absolutely.
I don't memorize too.
You don't?
I don't, no. So, Marissa is part of the annual student leadership retreat that Diana Wally has put together with the superintendents over the past few years, going back to Ron Staley, now Lyle. And that's August 8th and 9th. And so this is for Marissa and Lynn both, and it's 2 people times 2 days, so that's that one. Okay. Do you want to go bit by bit?
Yeah, we probably should. I move that we approve 1% funds for Marissa Lazarus Minor and Lynn Borowski the amount of $885.16. That's 2 days for 2 people.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. Next one is for Amy Levesque. Amy, of course, you know, is our second grade teacher. And she and Jen O'Donnell have done some outdoor work with the kids each of the past few years, centered around the forest and forest activities. And she would like to sort of formalize that and say 1 day a week, we are doing it from the end of August until the middle of June next year. And she would like to have a couple of days to do some planning on her own as to what that might look like. So that, would be like a 9 to 2:30 experience for the kids. And that's what she's asking for, a couple of days of planning time.
Okay, I move we approve a 1% application from Amy Levesque for the outdoor learning component of second grade, 2 days at $219 or $438.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, so Stacy Frazier is doing a PD workshop this summer, 5-day workshop in Situate. She didn't attach the blurb, but I know it has to do with instruction for the K-5 crowd. I'm not sure whether it's math or reading. Her tuition will be covered by her contractually obligated amount by the district, but she's looking for housing. She's going to do an Airbnb for that time. She made a little bit of an error, and I didn't really look at this that closely, but you wouldn't normally include mileage on this. That's a separate thing. So I'm going to cross that out and initial it so that she'll know. And then she put $100 in for food, $20 a day, so that's $1,039.
Okay, I move we approve an application for 1% funds for Stacy Frazier to pay for a per diem, I guess, housing and food for a 5-day workshop in the amount of $1,039.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Okay, and the last one is for Amy again. She is taking a 10-lesson course in Minecraft and how to use Minecraft for educational purposes to enhance learning and reach and engage all learning types. She's listed a number of anticipated student outcomes below, and she's looking for 2 days of coverage on that for $438.
I move that we approve an application for 1% funds for Amy Levesque to spend 2 days completing a 10-module course to teach through Minecraft. That's 2 days at $219 for $438.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Is she going to talk to Mike Beardsley about this?
Oh, yes. I'm sure she will.
But Mike Beardsley wrote a whole curriculum on using Minecraft in school. So,
He was a popular guy that year.
well, you know whose kid talked him into it, right?
Yeah.
He was always popular though. Lisa had him.
Right. Yeah.
Way back.
Okay then, so we have finished finance and we have looped back around to new business. I know it's a little confusing, but sometimes we have to make reality adjustments. You've had the legal update, the legislative update being that nothing happened, so we still merge as of this point. The two committees were unable to reach reconciliation. And I don't really imagine they're going to take it up again, next year.
Yeah.
But, I wouldn't hold my breath that they take it up unless something explodes, I guess. Okay, WESD update. I understand that we want some input into what will happen on the leadership councils. We'll be discussing that, I guess, again at our next meeting. At the moment, the resolution basically lists potential people, so we don't have to tie anyone's hands. They can't get one person described and therefore they can't have a council or something. I'm not sure what we want to do here. Do you want to give input for things you'd like to see? I mean, people you'd like to see, how you'd like to see it run?
Well,
What is the need, what's the ask, basically?
I was looking for Christina's email that put all the language out. Can you find, she really very clearly did the most recent draft of the.
Oh, that one, okay.
I thought I knew where it was and I don't see it. It's got a lot laid out pretty clearly. Trying to think of what the rest of the leadership councils. The articles with updates, I think I might have found it.
Okay.
May 16th, it looks like it came in, 3:14 p.m. Please be it, please be it, please be it. Maybe. I think this is it.
No, he came to the first meeting and then he told live.
The couple things that I just wanted to check in about is, it's my understanding that the Putney Town School Board meets the second and fourth Thursday, and then we essentially stop meeting. Is that everybody else's understanding of what happens? Because we dissolved June 30th.
It is.
it is.
Okay, so if that's the case, that means we're gonna be meeting the 13th and the 27th. Does that seem accurate?
Hold on.
That's the second and fourth Thursday.
That's right, this is actually our May meeting.
This is, yeah, our second meeting.
Second meeting. Sorry, I have us there for the 13th, but I also have the merged district there for the 13th.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not in the dates that Christina sent out for the new
I
district.
believe you, but the
Okay.
calendar gets.
Oh, says that?
No,
Okay.
it gets mistakes, like we're working on it.
Okay,
I might have made a mistake here.
okay.
It's entirely possible. I actually last week had to email Barb to say, do I really not have any meetings? So I set one up with her because I was lonely.
Oh, Lordy.
Yeah, last week I didn't have any meetings. It shocked me beyond. So I have us for the 13th. I also have the school district for the 27th.
So it must be that they just filled those in for the school district, even though it was us.
Let me make sure.
I can show you Christina's email that she just sent out with all the email dates, or all the district meeting dates.
I think I have it somewhere.
I think she sent it to Barb, and I was CC'd or something. Meeting dates. I have the 6th, you guys are meeting on Thursday. Then we have the 11th, which is the budget info meeting in Dummerston that we need a representative at. Then the 6/18, which is budget info meeting, and then 6/19 is your board meeting. So you essentially have the 6th and the 19th for district meetings. And then 2 budget info sessions wedged in there on the 11th and 18th.
I think we might wind up combining the meetings on the 18th and the 19th. I think that was Christina's suggestion.
Oh, really?
This afternoon.
Oh.
But this schedule is changing fast, I'm
Okay.
sure is, so
Yeah.
everybody try to,
Yeah, and then the 25th, of course, which would be that Tuesday, which is when the big budget vote is at the high school. The communications committee of the district, the new merged district, created a press release that everybody should have in their inboxes as of today. And that is David, Emily, Murphy, Core, and I. And so we've been working with Barb to get that out to everybody. And I'll make sure, I guess you got her too, I'm hoping.
Which one?
The press release about all the budget meetings that are happening in June. And if not, I will forward it to you.
Yeah, why don't you just send it? I don't recall seeing that.
Okay,
Thanks.
yeah.
On the big postcard that they sent to every resident, it was probably just an oversight, but it failed to mention that there was childcare being provided for the budget vote, and I was kind of upset to see that because a lot of people.
I got an email about that just the
Oh,
other
it
day.
didn't say?
It didn't say childcare would be provided, and that went to every
Oh.
residents in Putney. So people who may have wanted to go are now thinking,
No child.
no childcare, and I don't know how that happened because I thought that was a
It was,
priority.
yeah, it was super clear in all the communications we've done that childcare would be provided.
You know, a lot of people don't get the reformer, they're not gonna see that.
That's a bummer.
I mean, I could put stuff on my Putney and front porch.
I know that
lawn, but-
Christina Naylor and I are working on, I've approached some of our folks and I'd love to chat with you. Who do you think has done that kind of stuff in the past at our school? I asked Stacy already. I'm gonna ask Mary, because Christina, it was like, who do we know? So if folks can think of folks we can ask to help provide childcare at the high school that night, that would be great.
Did you get Barb's press release today? You can share that on iPutney, and it does indicate that childcare will be provided. Share it anywhere you want. Yeah, walk around wearing a sandwich board of
Facebook,
it.
I'm gonna put it on different Putney Facebook pages.
Yeah, sure, that's a great idea, thank you, because I don't.
I was just like, I'm reading, I'm going, what?
Can tap some high school seniors who need their community service hours before graduation.
Oh, trust me, these things get thought of every single
Yeah.
time, but I'll follow up on it.
Okay.
There will be,
Well, I don't know how it normally gets organized. I know we have said it the whole time, all the way through. And so Christina started texting, who do you have? And I was like, I will ask. So if you've got ideas, I think that we need to identify them immediately.
I do not have ideas immediately.
Okay. So I don't know how you get to high schoolers who have community service hours. Is there somebody who's a point of contact for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is, and I can't remember who.
Can't remember his name. I mean, I don't think it's one person. The kids should know from their last report if they're lacking the 40 hours.
Jim Keel used to do it. but
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure
who I
he's doing it anymore.
worked with before, but I don't know if there's a way of putting an email out somehow to
That's
the
okay.
kids.
There you go, funny way of picking up the phone when I call.
At the organizational meeting, I think it was, that, was brought up that Brattleboro always had childcare at town meeting, and that it would be provided in this meeting. I don't know if that meant that EES was gonna put people in or what, but
Maybe that can come up, maybe, I'm thinking Christina will raise it at the new school district meeting on Thursday, because it's like an all hands on deck situation now.
Pretty much. It is.
Yeah, and those folks should be there, right? They've been attending.
Yes. Okay, so we will be going over leadership councils again, I'm expecting at that meeting.
Sorry, is this board meeting on the 13th and the 27th, is that what I understood, or not?
I have a whole calendar double check. that
Oh,
I
okay,
need to
okay,
do.
we aren't sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
all
will,
right, okay. I didn't.
because I'm showing conflicting meetings those nights, but that could just be because,
Okay.
also my computer put in the 2nd and 4th for the duration of eternity
Right.
when I put it on my Google Calendar, so.
The second and fourth should be the 13th and 27th for Putney Town.
Yeah.
And then, but I just wanted to confirm, did we agree we would meet those weeks, the second and fourth Thursdays of June, like we are gonna do that?
I don't know that we're gonna be able to do those days, let me double check that.
Okay.
But having meetings,
Okay,
there's bound to be things we have to tie up
Okay.
before it's all over.
okay,
So I will double check the master calendar and figure out probably that I messed up my calendar.
okay, got it,
And then I will make sure everybody knows that.
okay.
We're preparing the, what do we call ourselves? The budget committee at this point. We're preparing for the informational meetings. If anyone has anything in particular they'd like to say, save it up because you might want to say it from the floor. Steve and her, this is why you're here, Steve. I would most specifically like some numbers that will show me, when they look at the number involving the food program, they're just going to immediately gasp at the amount, but I know that at least part of it is offset by revenues. I would like to have those numbers prepared to go, well, the real cost is because those revenues go away if the program isn't there. I would like to be able to say that.
The way that it's set up now, it's just the costs, and the costs are so disproportionate across the four that it would be nice to be able to, I was like,
Yeah, if there's, and Herbu indicated there were revenues that were offsetting it, but they're not generally
yeah, I mean,
revenues.
Right. So in its previous incarnation, you'll recall, there was a line item put in for food service that was intended to make up the anticipated gap. I don't remember the exact number, but it was somewhere in the 20,000 or so, 22,000, something like that. We don't have end of the year numbers quite yet, but I guess we could come close to putting something together.
Yeah, I can,
I mean, remember at this budget meeting, they can only vote from the floor to cut a budget by amount, not by line item. So there's only so much of defending I'll have to do now.
Do we have, can I get what other schools say that their cost is? Or how are they putting out? They're putting down the net of
I
everything?
think I had it memorized a couple of weeks ago.
That's
Okay.
This is literally just a, you know what, and I think I have a second copy if you want to look at it somewhere. That's all budgets basically turned into one budget.
Okay.
Isn't that just what you
I
want?
think it says in the first couple of pages.
Some of them, not,
I thought the food was on the first couple pages.
well, this annual report and summary is at the moment still broken out by school. Because that is the direction
Maybe
we
it was a
decided to go.
one-pager Frank created for the transitional board then that I saw.
That's what you
Yeah.
just gave him, and that's what I just
It's
showed
there,
him.
yeah, okay, good.
Okay, so it probably is in this report because the second part of this one is the same
Yeah,
as
okay.
that one. So I think we're doing this without assistance, but if there is anything anyone really wants said, email me or let me know, or,
Well, a question I had was specifically, depending on so June 11th is in Dummerston, so I think we should be getting the word out to everybody in Putney that Dummerston is going to be their best info session on the budget. I just didn't know who was going to represent Putney Central School at that meeting, and I didn't know if you and Tim are going to have to be there. Is that the case or not? I don't even know.
believe we're using the merged board.
As the base of those meetings.
Yes.
So I didn't know if we needed additional support to you guys with Sergio and Herb or others. So I had sent an email out just being like, hey, what was just a concern around making sure that if folks felt like they wanted to, or were able to do that, they could. So I didn't know where people were at with that.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm happy to be there. I mean, I'm on the SU Finance Committee, but only have been for a very brief time. I think my interaction with the Putney budget is the same as any members. I mean, I don't have a special relationship with it other than what everybody else has. But I think, I'm happy to, I will be there. I'm happy to answer questions or what have you.
Okay.
Anyone who wants to show up, please show up. Also, to vote up this budget so that we're all
It's kind of
squared away for the time being.
for a budget.
Yeah.
What time is that?
It is very good time.
That one, I believe, in the
Do you want me to
again.
send you all those dates?
They're on the
Well,
website.
I'm gonna kind of do it one day at a time.
Okay.
6:30, Dummerston on the 11th.
Gotcha, okay.
And the one in Oak Grove is at 6, on the 6th.
On Thursday.
Yeah, it's the Thursday.
This will be the one that most
Yeah.
Putney people will
Yeah.
gravitate towards.
Yeah.
So it says on the webpage, it says the
We changed it.
budget presentation
Oh.
committee will meet at 6 PM on Thursday, June 6th, and then the board meeting will follow at 7 PM
Right.
on June
Right.
6th.
Good.
Discussion, that's not the.
We're talking about June 11th, which is going to be the budget info section.
At 6:30.
Guilford.
6:30, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one on the 6th, the 6 o'clock is not the information part. That's a meeting of the budget committee, and then the presentation will be part of the 7 o'clock go. Is that,
I don't know, it reads as a presentation,
we may-
so I don't know.
that changed a
Is
little
incorrect.
today. Let me check with Christina. Because we just talked about that today, because we're having to add a second meeting. We met with Frank today, because it was the only availability that he had.
I'll send you the email.
The business
The
office
dates
is.
change all the time. Every time I looked at it, it's something different.
This isn't a
If you
change
want
in
that,
days, it's
but
a
just
change
to be
in
clear,
what's
it
happening.
includes both the board meetings and the info section.
Never mind, you don't have to explain it to me.
Well, no, I'm just
I think
having
take
two
my
meetings
guidance
going
from now
on
as
right
far
here
as
at the
what
same
makes
table
the
with
most
me.
sense, 'cause I just-
Are you going to come to June 25th meeting, the big vote on the budget? You come to that as a standard?
Typically I do, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I don't live in the district, so
Yeah.
it's not something I'm able to participate in,
Yeah,
as a spectator.
okay.
Okay?
I think there's going to be quite a few amendments from the floor, and that's why I'm making a point of being like, okay, guys.
Remember, the only thing that can come from the floor is a dollar amount. The floor cannot vote to cut her, for example.
Uh-huh.
They can't say, take out the exact amount of her salary and benefits and get rid of her.
Mhm.
Or
Mhm.
stop carrying this book, or
Mhm.
it's only a dollar amount.
Mhm.
So they can't amend that from the floor, and they can't
Mhm.
amend the articles of agreement from the floor. Those have to be voted on by Australian ballot.
Mhm.
So,
It seems to me like there's a methodology you could use to make an amendment that would have an impact on the budget, though. And you could just do a dollar amount, and it wouldn't be,
sure, but you're only directing the new board to cut $100,000. They don't have to cut $100,000 worth of what you think ought to be cut. You say what you want is no more tables. And
so people
yeah.
couldn't, so somebody couldn't from the floor say, hey, I'm really concerned about the costs of blank, and I want to make an amendment to amend the budget by this amount.
They can make that, they can make that motion, but they cannot amend it to say that what they want gone will be what gets cut
Yes.
out of that money.
Got it.
So you want all the desks removed, and that'll save us $100,000. You move, we cut $100,000,
Got it.
and that passes. But we say, no, we want desks. We're cutting a classroom off a building and pushing it into Lake Champlain. We don't have to drag it up there. You see, that, so you can get your way with the dollar amount, but not necessarily with what you want to be gone. I know that's really confusing.
That's for the food budget thing, really.
I just want to be prepared to have the discussion.
Right.
And again, Herb was talking about templates. Let's see what we can do. Dummerston has already expressed interest in going with our program in the future. So
a bit like at town meeting, it just says our food program costs $80,000, but it doesn't say what the revenues were against
Exactly,
that. So that's
what's
why.
what it is. It says it costs 80,000. It doesn't
But
say
it
that
doesn't include
the
like.
taxpayers are not paying that full amount
Right.
directly.
Right, right.
And that's what
I mean,
numbers
yeah,
are
there's a
like.
lot of things that go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I need to be able to try and deal with that if it comes up. 'Cause
Sure.
there's a couple of really hard questioners who come to these meetings who ask very hard questions, apparently just to ask very hard questions. Nothing ever
And
comes.
our budget is not their budget.
Yep.
Notice David taking somebody right out of the room. He does it at their school board meetings too.
Okay, so, moving forward like a herd of thundering turtles. I know that a couple members wanted to talk about the role of, she corrected it to PTSD, but I meant the school board, not the district. First of all, we can't have anything resembling your suggestion, that would be illegal. But I would,
We can't meet informally in case.
it can't be a board, we can't call it a board.
Right.
And if the Supreme Court were to knock this out, we don't know what will happen after that either.
Right.
Would the elections that we had at town meeting still stand? Would we have to have new elections? We cannot in any way imply or make it.
Right. I
Yeah.
get that. I get
But
that.
I would encourage every one of you to join the leadership council at this school, absolutely. Please, your input would be
Because, you know,
very valuable.
You know, if the Supreme Court sides with us and says no, and nullifies the forced merger, we're still in office,
Maybe.
maybe until next March. And
Right.
my thought was, if things go the way that I hope they go, and the voters of Putney hope they go, that we'd be ready to pick it up if they say, no, you can't force this merger on these people. We're still in office.
Unless that occurs after June 30th when we dissolve.
Right, but.
So we don't know what will happen.
Right.
That's why I'm encouraging all of you to stay on the leadership council, because I can't anticipate like
Right.
votes and Robert's Rules of Order and things like that until we know what's going to happen.
Right.
We're dealing in a whole lot of, I don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
I have heard two things. One is that some school boards, even with the forced mergers, are not dissolving for
Till December.
Till December. I don't understand that date. Another one that David Scholes out of Brattleboro has articulated is that we would stay in some level constituted through August because of the audit not being done till then, and that we would have some responsibilities to that process.
We might have some responsibilities.
Okay.
So
So
yeah, you might anticipate a call back because there might be business that we have to finish up.
because of the audit.
Because, yeah.
So I didn't understand those two timelines that I've heard, but
Right, I
I'm
don't
curious about them.
understand either. David brought it up again at their last board meeting, that was on BCTV, that the Brattleboro boards remains in existence until December 31st. Now, why that is, I don't know.
The high school board discussed most staying through the summer. Again, in case there are things that we have to tie up. Thank you, Steve.
I'll email David and see what that's about. It
And
may have to do with EES, I don't know.
yeah, they've got their EES thing and their annual reset is at a different time than ours because it's a representative town meeting and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry about all the answers I have to give that are, we don't know yet. But there may be some business things that have to be taken care of. And they might fall under the old business. I don't have time to cross my fingers, I need my hands. Yeah, for quite some time, we've been preparing for either eventuality.
Right, the
So-
two-track.
Yeah, the two-track. And I think that is, the best course of action at this point, because courts can rule randomly, frankly. To them, it's not random, but to people
Right,
watching,
and
it can be.
this is a huge test. I have a question. Once this is finalized, I think that we owe it to the planning committee to let them know that we've taken this action. Julie was here, she was very upset, about us not joining, but it was too late for us to join. But I think the community in general needs to be informed once Inez has all the language written.
Okay,
I'm happy to volunteer to write a draft press release that we could send out after we've done it.
Right, and I can send it out to the committee that has this long email list. We were reading down at the library for God knows how long. So I can get it out that way. And I would put it on Putney Facebook pages, just so the community knows that the board just didn't sit here and go, oh, well, the date passed, too bad, because I feel like we're letting them down.
the date passed before anyone told us there was a date.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than I would obviously seek an okay from Inez, because she may want to file it before the public gets to see it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to release it, and we can enter it into our minutes when it's finished. So,
And before we go on to C, could we revisit leadership councils, just so I can
Oh,
highlight
yeah.
a couple things, because I finally found Christina's notes.
oh, sure.
But did I interrupt?
No, which email
This is
address?
the most recent
Which
one.
email address did Christina send it from?
Well, it wasn't titled properly was the problem in finding it, and so it looks like it's her Dummerston one.
Okay, I'll find it that way.
Well, I'll tell you, it happened on May 23rd, and it was the upcoming meeting schedule was the title of it, which was the problem. She sent it in response to a conversation that was happening. So that's why I couldn't find it. So I just wanted to point this out because there's some really specific stuff here, and now there's discussion that the articles potentially won't get voted on until the fall. There was supposed to be a July 9th vote that was postponed, and there's concern about voter participation in the summer. And so articles will be now dissociated from the June 25th budget meeting. And so the question I had, and the reason I asked for leadership councils to be discussed, was I would like to see continuity in a body that is regularly meeting at Putney Central School. I know there's concern out of each of the other schools around this. And so I think there's discussion that the school district board might even take another action outside of articles that would allow or encourage folks to form leadership councils, which was discussed at the last school district meeting. And so I just want to point out that it says that leadership councils will include school administrators, teachers, parents, community members, and students when appropriate. The school principal shall accept nominations from interested parents, community members, and students. Teachers and staff will be nominated by their fellow faculty staff members. Unified school district members will rotate attendance at leadership council meetings to increase connections between board members and all schools they serve. The school principal will establish a leadership council code of conduct and ensure members understand applicable laws such as open meeting law and confidentiality agreements. Leadership councils will post meeting dates and maintain meeting minutes. And then the business, there's other critical stuff here. I can forward it to you if you're interested.
I've seen,
Oh, you
is
have
that the
seen this
same
one?
language that you gave me, Ann? It was
It may have been slightly updated since then.
There was a
Okay.
recent change, I don't know if it's the same.
This one had, the one I sent in had like 4 different highlighter colors
Yes,
on it.
I
so
think she edited it again and took all the colors out and sent it on May 23rd under upcoming meetings.
Yeah, so I guess the only thing is, that I'm thinking about is awaiting some guidance on the timing of this. Typically, the board historically doesn't meet in July. Meets once in June, and usually once in August, just before school starts. That's been the pattern, this board, pretty much. So, I'm fine with, establishing the council, comfortable with that. The nomination piece is something typically it's been tough to get people to serve on any sort of board, leadership or otherwise. And I know that from experience with our own leadership team here at school. So we'll do our best to meet the draft expectations and look forward to seeing some sort of final language on what that looks like. No doubt at our admin level, leadership team level, we'll be discussing the configuration of these things at the various schools and try to reach some relative consistency, across the board. And so we'll get it done. It's just a question of how and what the timing might look like. It's not something, I guess what I'm trying to hint at here is it's not something that I'm anxious to rush into and then have to revamp.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'd like to say this is what it looks like, and at least for a period of time, relatively certain amount of time, even if it's just 6 months or a year, this is how we're going to do it. And that would be helpful because this is going to be a little bit of a challenge in terms of selling it to people to pull them into the process. And so I want to have good information and I want to be able to share it appropriately so that it doesn't look like I'm switching things midstream. Yeah.
Good idea. That will be hard. We can always adopt this as a policy ahead of writing it as an article of agreement. So
One of the reasons I wanted to talk about it was because outside of what's going on in the whole school district, I was hoping that us as a body would say that this is something that we agree as the Putney Town School Board that we want to adopt, and that we will have an expectation that we will have our first meeting before the school year starts, like a meeting in August, and that we will identify these 3 steps that will allow for us to move this forward. Like, we will seek counsel from Lyle, if that's something that you were looking for, or we will create this as an application process for interested people. Like, I'd like to submit my name. I've heard rumors of 2 or 3 other people who would like to submit their names. So there's already, the piece that I'm concerned about is going into the summer, that we don't lose that momentum. And I think one of the things that was talked about is that there could be this lull that does create a challenge with the momentum. And so I think there's this interest and focus, and so just making sure that we're really clear about that. And so I just asked us to maybe address that again at a future meeting before the end of June.
well, we will talk about it more at the next school district.
Yeah.
Merge district
Yeah.
meeting. Sorry, we are at a school district meeting right now.
So can you request that former school board members, if they would like to serve on the leadership council, be considered, because there's no mention of that, it's just like citizens, and I think it will really smooth the transition. Not that they have to, but if they're on that board, so that people,
I think we added that language per your,
I don't have the updated language, so.
yeah, I think we added it.
Oh,
I think
okay.
Christina took that as an advisement to include.
Okay.
I'll go back and look.
What is that list? Yeah, we haven't even established how to establish, like, there could be a nomination, but we
It's
have
an
no,
interesting
I know.
approach, nomination. But I also think it's going to be imperative that the new board provide a compact list of expectations of these boards, and not have it be some sort of a job description type thing that everybody who's just getting used to working with one another would do, and what the parameters are, and what the things are that are up for conversation, and then, there's some things that are delegated in other fashions to different, I guess I'd say constituencies, in a way,
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I know.
Yeah, because
whenever-
otherwise it's gonna get my concern, it's relatively minor right now, but I wanna be on guard for diffusion of purpose. I'd put it.
Mhm.
Mission creep. Mission creep, that's it. I knew there was a term out there that you didn't know. Yeah, exactly, so.
Yeah, I've had some interesting daydreams about what it could look like, and they are not pretty. I can imagine it normally, but my brain takes off and goes, oh no, we're not going in that direction. No.
Right.
And I'm not going to bring them up because I'm not giving anyone any ideas.
Thank you, Ann.
It looks like there's 12 things that they've
I've seen
defined
it,
here. Have
yeah.
you seen that?
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will suggest that the old school boards who are willing, obviously, stay on.
I think that can really smooth
It
stuff.
will add some smoothness, but we'll get our,
At least in 3 of the towns. Brattleboro has representative town meetings, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see that language.
yeah. It will
So
be-
anyway, thank you for taking time to discuss that, because I feel like we have to visualize it now if it's going to be approached before September 1.
Okay.
And I would love, I know you two will be busy, but it would be super fun to continue our Putney huddle, not the huddle.
I was gonna say, I'm not quitting the huddle.
I can think of some other people that would be great.
Oh, I can imagine her more than a few. This is how they get you, though. This is how they get you. The next thing we did the summer camps. Does everyone feel thoroughly updated about the SU? That we still exist? We have gotten approval from the state board, from the AOE, from whoever, to structure it the way Vernon suggested, which is one member from each town, which was,
That's awesome.
it was awesome of them to think of it and try and get it through. Because even they understood that it was really not fair, 3 of them and 3 for everybody else.
Right.
So, and we read policies and we adopted some, and that is our update for now. We've done the camps, the transfer of school property. I don't know yet. We will be directing Lyle to seek legal counsel as to how that works. I know that we've gotten conflicting reports as to how it will work. I promise you, I'm not signing anything without advice from a lawyer. So, that's all I can really say is that we don't know yet. We will. This all turns very slowly to those of you who are new. This must seem very frustrating.
No, I just am wanting to name that the folks it says Lakeview and Greenboro, were told by their superintendent to sign a quitclaim.
Yeah.
So that the school board members were asked to sign a quitclaim. And that our Putney town clerk was really clear that there's a very specific property deed transfer process. And so I just wanted to name that I am concerned that when I had asked the question that Frank Recker's response had been, it just happens. that the property transfer just happens. And so what I'm seeing a pattern of is both statewide, very specific processes. The school boards are being asked to sign over the school property to the new merged district. And that if I'm gonna be asked to do that, I mean, there's real concerns I have, particularly around the fact that the majority of the voters in our community had gone through a vote process, and so here I am transferring over property. That is a really big concern to me, so.
We have statutes in argument with each other because, yes, the statute does say that we can only sell property with the affirmative consent of our constituency, which we do not have at this point, but will the new statute override that in some way? That's why we need a lawyer.
That's why we need a lawyer. So I'm guessing that we will hear back about this.
Yes, we will be hearing back about this.
Right, but Lakeview, they're not doing it. They're going to seek legal advice because stuff is coming out of the AOE that isn't, it's seemingly coming out of thin air.
I have no comment.
I made remarks earlier in the evening to that effect. Not out of the air.
Well, yeah, I know where they're coming from, but, you know, it's questionable whether that person has the authority to do so.
And I don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah, I don't know whether, I'm just thinking about myself right now, and I don't know whether I have the legal authority to do it, and I won't do it till I find out for sure.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, we're tooling through, and it's not even after 8:30. Has everyone read the first reading of the policies for that the SU is adopting? Great, so we can consider this a first reading. These are excellent, you know, revamps, and
Never knew there was a policy on animal dissection.
There-
It's interesting read. Interesting read.
it is, but yeah, I think those laws across the country came into place when I was in high school. Sunny. Because there were kids strongly
It was just
objecting.
interesting to read. I
Yeah.
just hadn't seen it in,
I don't know when it was put in place here, but I know it started when I was in high school. Okay, so we're through that, and I would like to formally recognize Alice and Emily, which we still have not done because our agenda gets longer and longer every time we turn around. Shall we write a letter? I can take that on as, you know, a resolution and attach it to our minutes. We can post it. We can do any kind and creative thing.
That's something we actually can send you if it.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, please. Awesome. I will, like, cut me in
Just
half. Yeah, cut my time
Get
in
it out
half.
there. I'll put it on all the different websites and Facebook things that I have.
I don't know how much we want to, because it's their private stuff. I don't,
Oh, okay.
you know, I don't
Okay.
know. But we can post it several formal places. Because I don't, yeah. Oh my gosh, do we have anything else?
The only question I had is we had talked at the last meeting about getting together with the teachers because there had been concern that Lila had expressed that teachers wanted more connection with the school board, and particularly as we're preparing to dissolve. I think it would be nice just before the end of the year, not to do anything lengthy, but just say, we're here, this is the process as we understand it, and we invite you to reach out to Ann and Tim, who are our new representatives, to this merge board. So I didn't know if there's any more meetings. You said they were Tuesdays.
Yeah, I mentioned this to Ann, I brought this up to the faculty meeting, and they just, to the faculty rather,
Yeah,
and they just felt that they were just too packed
okay,
between now and the end of the
okay,
year to have, they, you know,
Okay.
we do this, we have done this traditionally once or twice a year, fall and spring. And with everything that's going on, they're just feeling a little bit too
Okay.
congested.
We haven't had a spring like this ever, so, I mean.
Right.
Right.
So it's, you
Yeah.
know, another one of those casualties of the intensity of the transition, I guess I'd say, for most people. And we had things, you know, that needed to get done, so.
Could we formally just say that, and put it in our minutes, that the Putney Town School Board wants to let the teachers know that they can reach out to any one of us at any time? Our contact information is on the web, and any concerns that they have? I mean, is that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd exercise caution with that.
Okay.
Only because you've got your, now, those meetings in the past with the faculty have been publicly warned school board meetings, right? And so that's a factor, so, I don't know, I'd defer to Lau probably as far as whether or not that's something she would think would be the way to go.
I have concerns because we should get 1,000 books about the forest in here, is a suggestion. I'm having trouble with this part of my contract, is something that has to go through channels.
Okay, I just was trying to think of something you could say that wouldn't cause any excitement. I just meant like making sure that the school board is saying, hey, we're here, we're interested in connecting and
Here's a
supporting.
suggestion. Again, it's late, so, you know, we're not in what I would consider to be normal mode, right, for the next couple of weeks. There's field trips galore, virtually every day, somebody's going off in a different direction. You know, lots of comings and goings. But the board has in the past said, hey, on this day, board members will be sort of filtering through and just stopping in to say hi, you know, various classes and so forth. That's something that's easy. It's clean. We had it sort of as a visit day. Yeah, so it's not, there's no controversy about doing something like that. But that's up to Ann and her direction on that, but we have done that in the past.
Okay.
And the last day of school is the 18th.
That's correct, yep. Graduation's on the 7th.
Essentially gives us next week to do it.
That's right, which is kind of my point, yeah, so, there you go.
Yeah.
It's up to you guys.
I'd be happy to do that on a Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday when I have care for the baby.
I could do it any day.
And I could do it in like the morning or something, if that's possible, or lunchtime.
Well, what's happened in the past is just designate a day, and then whenever people
Whenever people
are
can go.
available, they can come in
They just
for
pop in.
15 minutes, they can come in for the whole day. It's up to you. You know, we just designate it that way,
Okay.
so people know who's walking around.
Okay.
Does that have to get warned?
I think it does have to get warned, so I don't know if there's enough time for that, but I'll leave that to you and Barb to figure out.
Well, we need 48 hours for a regular meeting.
Yeah, so, you know, that seems doable.
Does any particular day look better? I mean, Jamie has said Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Liz has said any day.
Field day is next, what is that, Wednesday?
Monday, that's
Next Wednesday's field day.
Field day.
That's sort of an afternoon of no classes. We'll be outside, hopefully weather provided.
I could do Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, so the 13th could be okay. That would be the day of our school board meeting, and we could be like, hey, it would be great to see you tonight.
Thursday, next Thursday?
Next Thursday, the 13th. And just be like, so nice to see you. Come hang with us at 6:30.
They do not want you to come hang with us.
I know they don't. It's always about the invitation.
Okay, does Thursday sound good?
I have something in the afternoon.
I can't do Thursday, but.
If you can do part of Thursday, that might be doable. Nope.
Okay, no.
Nope, okay.
What about Tuesday, the 11th? You can't do?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, bring her along. She'll add a little excitement.
Maybe.
Maybe. She's a riot.
Yeah, I'd offer Doug, but I don't think he can keep up with a little one like that anymore. Okay, so have we picked a day?
The 13th?
The 13th. Okay. I'm writing a post-it note here. Okay. Anybody?
Is that your bugle?
Are you holding your breath?
Yeah, oh, I actually did once close a meeting. Does anyone have any objections to someone making a motion to adjourn? This is not that meeting, however. I would like to have enter into a very, very brief executive session. Hang on, I have to get my... Just pull it up. Under 1 VSA, subparagraph 313, 1, I have to find the exact one. 1D, please. You're welcome to stay. Doesn't,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you need
No action.
any input from me?
No,
Oh, okay.
no action will be taken,
That's fine.
other than adjournment, so.
Okay. Appreciate it.
I just
do
wanted
I
to
hear-
thank BCTV for being here tonight.
I need a second and a vote, please.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
But no action will be taken, so.